Hi guys, Maikeru here. This is my Legions guide, and in this guide I'm going to talk about how to get quick and easy kills on each individual boss. I will leave timestamps in the description to the setup and each individual boss so you can go to a certain one if you just want to know that. Let's get right into it. Starting this video off with my setup, as always, I've got my inventory, my yak and my worn inventory all shown on screen. I take a Supreme Overload, a Super Perennial and a Replenishment Potion. You can take any type of overload. If you don't have a Supreme, Holies and stuff work perfectly here. A Replenishment Potion is a Super Restore and an Adrenaline Potion in one. I like to use this at the start to get a bit of adrenaline on my first kill, because once you've been there for a kill, you can store your adrenaline very easy. I take a couple of Restore Flasks just so I can keep my prayer up. 2 Saradomin Brews, which are just panic food. There's not many times you're going to really need to panic eat, except for the ones that are like Tertius or Quintus, where you can mess up very easily, and the brews come in very handy. I just use the same preset for every single one. For things like Primus, you barely use any food, but others like Quintus, like I said, you use quite a lot of food. So I just keep the same inventory throughout. I take 12 keys, which means I can do 12 kills a trip. You can take a couple more or a couple or less and have it fit how you want to do it. I used to take 15, but then I just started taking 12 because I go to the max guild to bank anyway. I also take rock tiles as my food, as they're only 1.7k each right now, so they're very cheap. I take my enhanced Excalibur just for some extra healing, as we're using Protect from Magic. You can get quite a lot of extra healing with that enhanced Excalibur. The yak is just filled with rock tiles and 1 brew. Then for the worn inventory, you want to take the best gear you've got because you want to nuke them down as fast as possible. A Nox Bow, Ascensions, even things like Shadow Glaives or Decimation would work perfectly here because you deal a lot of damage when you're close to them. A Max Cape is super beneficial here. The reason why a Max Cape is really beneficial is because you can teleport to the Max Guild. When you're in the Max Guild, you can just hit your preset and go through the Max Guild portal and it will take you directly to the boss that you have the keys for in your inventory. If you don't have the Max Guild teleport, it's going to take you quite a lot of time to get there. So I would definitely advise taking more than 12 keys if you don't have the Max Guild to try and maximize how many kills you can do in a trip, because you can't just bank in 10 seconds. I take an Armadillo God Book, as the proc is super helpful on things like Tertius, where you want to nuke him down very fast for that last part. But any God Book or any stat boosting item works fine. I barely activate my Armadillo except for 1 or 2 of them. I take a Ceramic Helm, a Amulet of Souls, and I've got the Amulet of Souls upgrade kit on it because that's always really useful. Take your quiver with whatever ammo you need in it. I use Pernix, and on my Pernix I have Enhanced Devoted, which is the most important perk here because we're using Protect from Magic. Enhanced Devoted procs and it does help a ton. Other than that, just take DPS perks on it like Impatient, Crackling, Biting, things like that. For a ring slot, you don't need a Luck of the Dwarves. Luck of the Dwarves has 0 effect here, and it's always a 1 in 50 chance for a Signet. This means you can take your Asylum Surgeon's Ring, your Ring of Death, and it'll be much better than a Luck of the Dwarves. I take Pernix Boots and Nightmare Gauntlets. Nightmare Gauntlets are so good here. Definitely make sure you're using Nightmare Gauntlets if you have them, and if you don't have them, think about investing in them. You can move while you're doing your snipe, which means you can move out of the lightning while sniping and then just snipe them really close, and you get a lot of damage out. Standing still to snipe is not very wise here, so Nightmare Gauntlets are probably the best item out of everything that I could recommend. When it comes to auras, you don't really need accuracy here, so auras like Dark Magic, Vampirism, Aegis, things like that are very helpful. That's it for the worn setup. Now let's get into the actual method to kill each one. The first Legio you kill is Primus, and he's by far the easiest. When you enter his fight, chuck a Corruption shot and a Fragmentation shot on him, as there bleeds and they'll get stronger as you get closer. The further away you are from the boss, the more damage reduction that the boss has. This means the closer you're standing, the more damage you'll deal. You always want to chuck your bleeds on at the start or surge over to him. I normally surge over to the door to use a new key, so I'll just run over to him with bleeds. And if you stand close to him within a couple of squares, you're going to deal a lot of damage. This is why Nightmare Gauntlets are so good. You can cast Snipe, move out of a lightning that he's casting down upon you, and easily smack him in the face for a high amount of damage without cancelling your snipe. Another thing that's really useful here is using Protect from Mage and using Devotion. If you use Devotion, you can just stand in the lightning as it will hit ones. You can stand right next to them with Devotion and use something like Rapid Fire and be able to deal a lot of damage very quickly during that Devotion and then move when it's ended. One thing I did want to say is the timing. When you see the animation made by the Legio where he puts his arms up in the air and throws them down, that means lightning's about to come. When you see him throw his arms in the air, just move like 3 squares away and the lightning won't hit you. That's all you gotta do for Primus. He literally just throws lightning here and there and he just gets a little bit more hard hitting as the fight goes on, but if you're dodging the lightning, his mechanics are completely negated. Each Legio does their special attack every 7.5k HP, but you can ignore Primus's. Secundus is another easy one. He doesn't really have any mechanics either. He's just like Primus. You just nuke him down, stay close to him at all times. You can use Devotion to help you. Every 7.5k HP, I think he gets a little bit stronger, and that doesn't really do anything as long as you're dodging the lightning. He doesn't have any extra mechanics that he does like the others do. So we'll skip Secundus. If you want to know more about the basic mechanics, go back to Primus and have a listen. We're moving on to Tertius now. Tertius spawns minions, and these minions can be very annoying. You start off the same way, chuck a couple of bleeds on him as you start the fight and get close to him so you deal more damage. He'll still throw the lightning down, so continuously move. Whenever you see his arms go up in the air and he throws them down, that means the lightning's coming on top of you. He'll spawn minions every 7.5k HP, but the only minions you want to worry about are the ones that spawn at 15k and 7.5k. Another thing that's important to note is you can't damage any more when it gets to that cap. So if he's on 15.5k and you deal 2k damage, that 2k damage will be changed to a 500 as it caps to 15k. Same applies with the 7.5k. If he's on like 8k HP, you'll only hit 500 to take him to 7.5k, even if you were going to hit more. You want to time this correctly. Take him down to 7.5k as fast as you can. Make sure you do not AoE when he's at 15k and lower. He spawns a Gladdy, and if you AoE, that Gladdy aggroes on top of you and he'll stun you. So try your best not to use any AoEs. This includes Corruption Shot and Bombardment and Ricochet, and DPS Tertius down to 7.5k HP. It's kinda good to use a Devotion so you can easily just stand next to him and DPS him down. If you don't have Devotion though, you want to save your Snapshot for when he hits 7.5k HP. You either want to rapid fire inside a Devotion at 7.5k HP so you can DPS him down before the Capsarius starts healing him, or you want a Snapshot so you can kill him before the Capsarius starts healing him. The reason why you want to save your thresholds for 7.5k HP is because if the Capsarius starts healing him, she puts a protective bubble on him. That protective bubble stops him taking a lot of damage and he'll start getting healed. This then means you need to deal with the Capsarius before you kill the Legio, but if you kill him fast enough, you don't have to deal with the ads at all. For example, in this clip, I did not kill Tertius in time and he started getting healed by the Capsarius. At this point, you're going to need to AoE. When you AoE, the Gladdy will stun you. You want to use Freedom as soon as possible or anticipate beforehand so you don't get stun locked inside lightning, because that's an easy way to Death's Office. Once you can run around with Freedom or Anticipate, use a Corruption Shot on Tertius and use a Bombardment, and that will kill the Capsarius as it will be standing right next to him. When the Capsarius is dead, just do another attack or two on Tertius and he'll be dead too. That's it for this boss, just those annoying ads that spawn. Be careful of that stun from the Gladii and try not to use AoEs unless you have to. The next Legio is fairly simple and it's Quartus. Every 7.5k HP he'll do his special attack. The special attack for Quartus is that he stuns you in like a little ice block and moves you about. All you got to do for this is make sure you're not standing too close to another lightning patch so he doesn't stun you and move you into the patch. But we've got our Rock Tails and a couple of brews as our panic food, so if he does stun you and move you into the patch, just panic eat. Devotion is really nice here though, because even when he does stun you and chuck you in some lightning, then it won't do anything at all and your Devotion will keep you taking ones. So at 22.5, 15 and 7,500 HP, he'll do his special attack and teleport you around with a little stun. The only problem is it will stop you casting anything that you're casting, so if you are using a rapid fire or something, try and save that for the last 7.5k so it doesn't get interrupted. Simple as that. Moving on to Quintus. Quintus is by far the hardest out of all of them and definitely the most annoying. At every 7,500 HP, he puts a purple line on the floor that deals magical damage to you. If you're standing on this line for more than like a second, it will deal around 2,000 damage to you. This means you want to move off of the line as fast as possible and try not to cross over it. He'll put the lines down 3 times, again at 22.5, 15 and 7,500 HP. This means it gets very hard to navigate and dodge the lightning during this boss fight. This is why I save my thresholds for the last 7.5k too. A rapid fire at 7.5k to finish it off is very helpful. Same applies with saving your devotion when multiple lines are up, so you can either run through the line or just stand on it and have it deal ones, as devotion also prevents the damage from the lines as well as the lightning. You just deal with Quintus exactly the same way as you do normally, so every time he chucks his arms up in the air, lightning's going to come down so you move out of it. The only issue is there's not that much room to move once he's put down a couple of lines, so just do your best to dodge the lines as much as possible. The only problem is he puts the lines directly where you're standing, so if you're standing next to him it just gets a bit annoying and doesn't really give you many places to go to in order to DPS close by. So sometimes he takes a little bit longer to kill than the others because you have to stand a little bit further away, but if you have to do that to stop taking the damage, you might as well. This one in particular is why I bring a yak. He deals so much damage to you and it's just so annoying and so hard to prevent. So half the time I just tank more damage here on purpose to deal more damage to him and get him done quicker. Thank you, Yak and Rocktails. The last but not least is Sextus. He's actually fairly easy and he doesn't have anything that's too hard to deal with. His lightning stays on the ground longer than any others. This means he can have like 3 lightning patches at the same time on the ground. To combat this, I just run around in like a square, so it always puts the lightning in each corner of the square that I'm running. If you use the floor of the arena as the reference, there's like a rectangle on the floor and he's standing in the middle of it. If you just go to every corner of this, you'll be fine and the lightning will never hit you as long as you're standing far enough away from it. I feel like you need to be standing 3 to 4 squares away from the lightning that he puts down to make sure you don't take any damage from it. I just go from corner to corner to corner and it makes it very easy to deal with him having his lightning spawn longer. Sometimes I mess up and the lightning spawns in random places, but it's very easy to overcome. Just don't stand near the lightning, otherwise you're going to take a lot of damage unless you've got devotion up. Again, if you have devotion up, just stand in the lightning during the devotion, use a rapid fire or something and deal a lot of damage. Just make sure you move a second or 2 left of the devotion so you don't get loads of damage with all of them stacked up. Normally you'd only take like 2k damage if you move a little bit late out of them from devotion on all the other ones. But this one, because the lightning lasts longer, if you've used devotion and he's cast lightning on you a couple of times during that devotion, if you don't move early, you'll get ticked by every single lightning stacked up on top of each other, so you'll take like 6k damage and that's not fun. And that's it for Sextus, and that's all 6 covered. If you have any additional questions, do let me know in the comments down below. I'll be happy to help. Hope this guide was helpful to you. Do give it a like if you did enjoy, subscribe if you're new for loads of future RuneScape free content, and until next time, see ya.